Hello and welcome back to the Game Bet Match podcast. I'm your host, Manny Friedman, along with my co-host.
Brad Sloan
Back in the house, baby.
back in the house. Yeah, been on. I mean, I feel like we are. We've been potting a lot less this year and putting a lot more stuff up on X in terms of timelines and posting and writing stuff.
Yeah,
So it's been a little different. I mean, I actually don't mind the format, like the changes as much. I think it's. I don't know. I think it's good. I think we definitely got like a lot of. I think the written stuff on X for like daily write-ups and match previews. I think that's easier for people than having to watch us talk and watch our videos. So
well, we also work full time, so we can't really pod during the day, so it's pretty hard. And like the betting content just doesn't have a long shelf life, you know?
yeah, yeah.
If it had a longer shelf life and it was like American football or soccer, where we could talk about it and people had 3 days to listen to, I feel like it would be a great way for us to deliver the content. But just for us who work full time and can only do it at like midnight or 11 p.m., it's really not practical. So, but the written stuff has been getting a lot of engagement. The chat's been great. I mean,
Yeah, I think
it's been a
we
lot
gotta
of
thank
fun.
that we've had a lot of people really jump into comments and engage and be really interested. I think it's been pretty fun. I mean, they feel like
Been
the
awesome.
community continues to grow.
Yeah,
Yeah, and not just in terms of number. Like I feel like our follower number hasn't grown as fast, but like I think we're getting a lot more like quality engagement, a lot more like quality conversation, which I really enjoy.
for sure. And I plan to do maybe one or two like in-depth write-ups where with paragraphs looking at different angles kind of thing like for our chat
Yeah.
plays. So always looking to improve and it's been quite a ride. It's been
Yeah,
awesome.
and some people have given feedback and ideas, and if somebody has feedback or thoughts or what we can do better, we always love to hear it. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So it's been a while since we potted, but we're gonna kind of go through a recap in kind of a more general sense and talk about like various topics and various guys. So I guess let's start with Novak. He lost to VDZ. It was a pretty poor effort, on his part. He just didn't look sharp at all. What do you make of it? Do you think like Father Time has caught up to him? Do you think like he has one more run in him? Like what do you make of all this?
I mean, I don't think this is a new thing. I guess let's start there, right? Like I mean, he lost to Luca Nardi here last year,
Right. Good point.
right? It was Luca, right? Yeah, Luca. I think Vukic
Mhm.
took a set off him in the first match, and then Luca Nardi beat him in the second match, and like
Yep.
that kind of tells you, like like last year's run was no better. He didn't win any titles last year at any level. Um,
Besides the Olympics, of
Besides the
course.
Olympics, right? The Olympic, and that was the year for Novak. But I guess my overall thought is like, is he going to be? Is that peak gone? Yeah, I think that peak's gone.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think that the most telling thing to me is when he's matched up against the elite, the two most elite guys in the game, Sinner and Alcaraz. Um, I mean, I guess he's beaten Alcaraz now. He beat Alcaraz in the Olympic final, and he beat Alcaraz in the Australian Open in the quarter. So he's done okay against Alcaraz, I guess, but he was pretty behind Sinner, I would say. He was a little bit closer maybe in Beijing, right? But I think that was still straight sets.
Well, Sinner is a tougher matchup for Novak at this point because he's kind of a similar version of Djokovic, right? And he doesn't miss as much. He doesn't make those unforced errors to bail Novak out of rallies that Alcaraz can do sometimes, right? So I think that's the problem against Sinner. Whereas, like, if I personally thought that Australian Open was a bad version of Alcaraz more so than a good version of Novak, and I think
I agree with that. I think the peak Novak, in terms of that, I mean, this isn't a very, I don't know, interesting take.
yeah,
But I feel like the peak tennis Novak is kind of gone. Um, if Novak's gonna get it done in like his best chances in slams, and I think it's because of the mental edge. I know you like to talk about mental
yeah,
a lot. I think in slams there still is a pretty big mental edge between Novak and the field.
yeah. But your tennis has to be at a certain level for the mental edge to matter, right?
Um, Theoretically, but he almost I mean he couldn't move and he almost took the first set from Zverev right in the semis, and that was what 7-5 he lost the tiebreak.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, Zverev, that was an extreme example because that was just like such a messy set.
But I guess that's my point. I don't think Novak's going to be winning too many of these, like too many matches against like even like top 20 guys cleanly. Right? If you go back to last year's French, Cerundolo should have had him.
Musetti should have had him.
Musetti should have had him. Like, if it feels like the only edge he's got now is his tactics, which really shines through against Alcaraz. I feel like, in addition to the fact that
Yeah.
Alcaraz seems to have a mental block against Novak. I also feel like Novak
Except at
has,
Wimbledon.
except at Wimbledon, that was a beatdown.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess because Alcaraz's tennis was just at such a much higher level.
Right. It just didn't
Right.
matter.
And the
Like,
2023 final was pretty 50-50, honestly. Like Alcaraz
yeah.
just kind of won the bigger points, but that was about it. So I don't know. I mean, I think he might have one run in him, you know. Like thinking about last year, he played well in Shanghai, right, where he made the final. He made the Wimbledon final.
Yeah.
You know, he made quarters of the French. He won the Olympics. So it's not like it was like god awful, you know, it's just
No. I mean, plenty of players would take that year, right? I guess
yeah.
like, and I guess that I think we're on the same page here roughly, which is like, is he peak Novak? Like gonna win 3 slams in a year? No. I think we can pretty confidently say he's not gonna have any more 3 slam years.
If the bet was does Novak win one more slam at -110 at Pick'em, would you lean yes or no?
That's probably pretty close to the right line.
Yeah,
Um, I'd probably say no, just because
me too.
like things like he kind of got everything to come together, ironically, at the Australian Open pretty well. With the
Well,
exception that he would have had
the
to beat
draw
Sinner in
didn't
the
work in
final.
his favor, honestly. Like
What?
if he had the draw didn't work in his favor. If he had Sinner's draw, maybe, right? But to play Alcaraz, Zverev, and then have to beat Sinner in the final, like to beat all three of those
Well, but
guys, that's tough.
I don't know though, because like, sure, but he got to face a clearly mentally, I don't know, scared Zverev in the semis,
Yeah.
right? And like he just couldn't like. I guess the challenge, like there's a huge physicality challenge now of can Novak get through 7 matches
Right.
in a row. And then on top of that, I don't think he can beat the top guy. Like I don't think he can, like he could win a match, he could win matches against the top guys, but I don't think he's gonna beat them himself, right? He's gonna need like these top guys to have an off day to beat them.
Yeah, he needs some help. I mean, he need maybe, one of them lose early, that could happen.
Yeah, and he's also
Right.
gonna need like but I mean that could happen to him too, right? Like I mean
Right.
he's been dropping. I mean, he dropped a set to Nishesh, he dropped a set to Faria. I mean, like, this is
Yeah, he beat up Mahak and Lehechka pretty easily,
which is weird because they're certainly better
well,
opponents
I
than the
thought he
first
played
two
really
guys.
well in those rounds, to be honest.
That's true. That's true. And I think that goes back to the challenge, right? Like, I think we agree, like, there's a version of Novak that is certainly top 10, probably top 5 still. It's there, but
Yeah.
can it be there every round that it has to be there to win a slam? That's the question.
I mean, that's why you don't see like Monfils winning these Masters 1000s because like we were just talking before the pod that we think he's playing at a great level, but when you're at an age 30, 536, it's just hard to maintain that level like day in and day out. Like you could win one match, right? But like to do that 5 days in a row, like that's tough. So like that's why I think the Monfils Auckland title like deserves a lot of credit, you know?
For sure. For sure.
So yeah, I mean, I'd probably lean no if you have to, have me pick because I feel like when we were asking this question about Nadal and Federer, we were thinking yes, but it ended up being no. Like I feel like once you're kind of on a downhill trajectory at this age, it doesn't go the other way.
Well, and I think, ironically, I think it's harder for Novak than those two first guys you mentioned. Because Nadal always had, okay, the question was, okay, maybe he's more or less finished, but can he still do it on clay, right? At the French
Right.
Open, his best tournament, can he still find it for 2 weeks on clay? And then the question for Federer was, could he do it on the grass with that serve, right? And Federer had the big serve still at the end of his career. So, okay, can he basically serve his way through the tournament? Djokovic has a great serve, very underrated serve. But he's never been a guy to just blow people off the court. So, like, is he gonna if he's gonna win, if he's gonna do this, I mean, it feels like if he's gonna do it, he's gonna have to out mental guys, and like he could, right? Like, and we've also seen, I mean, look, like it's your favorite thing, but like, man, some of these slams we've seen him just like these guys just they get into position, they get scared.
I mean, we
Yeah.
saw it even Musetti in the Wimbledon semi, right? Like he folded.
Yeah, I mean, Musetti got to
at
the big
French
points
too.
and he just folded.
I
Yeah.
know. It's crazy. So Rune at Wimbledon, like we all thought that would be a competitive match, and it was straight sets. Like Rune had nothing just because of the mental side. So I mean, yeah, it's interesting.
And the tactical, right? Like both, right? Like it's when you like that's the thing with Novak, right? Is he's got the mental toughness,
Yeah.
the ability to play clutch points, and and he's got really good tactics.
Right. Right.
So can he get up against guys where he can find the tactics also? That's also a key, right? I feel like he's like if he gets against a Holger Rune, I completely believe in him against a Holger Rune because he can find the tactics, right? He can find the spots that put the ball where Holger's gonna, hit dumb shots. Whereas like that's why I don't know how he ever beat Sinner again, because Sinner's just so like
he's so disciplined,
clean. Like I don't know what Novak does to beat him.
right.
And we kind of saw it. Was it Shanghai where it was a pretty close match on the score, but it definitely felt like
3-6, but you never felt like he would win that match.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Really
I agree. Yeah.
I just think talking about this on X, you see both sides of the spectrum here, and I think it's a little bit of both. People are like, "Oh, he beat Alcaraz, and never discount the GOAT." Like, and then you also hear like, "Oh, he's completely done because he lost to Bodie van de Zandschulp," right? Like, and I think we're kind of somewhere in the middle, right? Because the Alcaraz match was impressive. I thought he showed periods of really good play, but like I also thought that was bad Alcaraz, and
I mean, I think in my mind he's definitely still top 10, like definitely top 10. I probably I honestly I think we talked about this on a preseason pod. I don't think I've moved him. I think I'd still slot him in at 4 behind Alcaraz, Zverev, and Sinner.
I mean, Zverev might be even lower, to be honest, right at this moment.
Maybe at this moment, yeah, but I think Zverev will find it. I don't think it's going to be too. I don't think he'll be down for too long.
I mean, if you just count this moment, like right now, how guys are playing, you may have to put Tommy Paul ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing it right at this moment, I think you'd bump up Fritz quite a bit. I'd put Medvedev up a bit. Probably Tommy, few guys.
Yeah, I mean it's a weird time, right? Like I feel like a lot of guys are playing either above their ranking or below their ranking. Like it's just weird. But you always have this on the tour. Like some guys ride hot and some don't. So all right. So next topic I wanted to talk about is let's see here. Let's talk about Tsitsipas. So how much are we updating our priors from A to racket?
Significantly. Again, like I think like I'm gonna say like quote unquote somewhere in the middle. Like I had him really low on hard courts,
Me too.
I don't want to say really, but I had him probably somewhere down like the 40s. You know what I mean? Like I would have taken like a Makach over him. I would have taken I probably had him down somewhere in like the Griekspoor range.
Okay.
Right? To give guys who I kind of had in that range, like somewhere in that range.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I think he's now back in like the the FAA Draper-ish tier. Maybe like kind of in that like teens area.
Hmm.
I mean, I think he's certainly. I mean, look, he won Dubai. He had a pretty good run in Dubai, and he's looked pretty good here in Indian Wells. Um, I'm not super. I don't know why he hasn't been better in Indian Wells in the past, because I feel like the slower court is better for him. Um, just gives him more time.
I think the Dubai run was good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it was great because like I thought Berrettini kind of outplayed him for bits and pieces of that match.
Oh, but more than bits and pieces. I mean, the second. I mean, like I think the Berrettini match. No, I mean I think that was a pretty even match in Dubai. The Berrettini match. Like I think you know what I mean. Like I mean, if you look at it, like so, Berrettini dominated the stats, but the first set was obviously close, right? Tiebreak.
Yeah.
Second set was Berrettini, and third set was Tsitsipas.
Yeah, Berrettini had 2 more break points and he won 10 more points in that match.
But that's partially because he kind of ran it up in the second set. I think, you know, once he got up in the second set, he kind of ran it up.
Okay. Partially.
I mean, like I said, but I do think like I don't think Tsitsipas was like the better player. I think it was like, you know, but I think it came down to that first set tiebreak.
I mean, also against Kachanov, like that was pretty even match, right? Kachanov actually won 1 more point in that match too. And they both had 9 break points. Kachanov broke 1 more time. So I feel like he kind of lucked through a couple matches. I thought Griekspoor was a little bit fatigued in that semifinal after the tough win against Medvedev. And then FAA he kind of had a tough week and kind of just, gutted out 3 setters and he felt a little fatigued in the final. So I think Tsitsipas was very opportunistic, but he wasn't necessarily great. And I think he's kind of taken that confidence into this week where the slower conditions help him. And the fact that he can kind of get a little more height on the ball, like that helps. And like I guess the racket has helped a little bit. Like I don't think it's a crazy amount, but it probably
In the little bit that I've watched him, like I actually think the forehand looks even better.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, when he was really struggling on hard, he was even a mess on the forehand side. Like he was just
right. Like I feel like we always talk about the backhand with Tsitsipas, right? Because that
yeah.
is like the by far the weaker wing, but he's got to be able to attack off that forehand because he's never going to be the most consistent backhand guy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for him, actually, the biggest thing is the forehand, and it's really interesting. So if you look at, and obviously it's a very very small sample, but if you look at the last couple of the tournaments, right? I'm just pulling up the stats because I thought it was pretty fascinating. Since that loss to Medvedev, Tsitsipas is winning 83% of points off the first serve. Now, not the best, not the best. You kind of listed out the guys, not the best set of returners, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But still, to win 83% off the first serve is pretty darn good. You know, for reference, Sinner was top in the world last year on hard courts off the first serve, and he won 80%.
Okay.
So he's, well above. He's playing, off the first serve, well above Sinner. Still only winning 35% of return points.
I mean, I'm not going to give him we got to deflate those numbers. Like you said, he didn't play the best returners. He's playing actually pretty putrid returners. Griekspoor, Berrettini, Kachanov, Sonego, Berrettini again this week, and Seaboth Welch. Like those are low tier returners in the ATP Tour.
Yeah.
Let's be real, right? So
yeah.
I'm going to deflate that 83% to maybe 73%.
Feels like a pretty big deflation, but like,
like if he was playing Demonor and Holger Rune,
I think that's why we'll talk about it in our preview, but I think that's why I'm really excited for this Holger Rune match.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. Well, I think it's a good matchup for Rune, but I think the conditions favor Tsitsipas. I think that's kind of where my head is.
All right. Interesting. Interesting.
All right. Sounds good. But
yeah, but overall, I think to end the conversation, like I've definitely updated my priors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting him like as a top 5 or top 10 player yet.
Yeah.
But I think like I've moved him up to like I said at the start, I've moved him up to like that Draper FAA tier, and like that's in like the mid-teens. Maybe
Well, I
slightly
want to
below
see
Tommy.
I want to see him play a guy that can return serve. You know,
Fair.
like you can
Yeah, fair. Very
pressure
fair.
him on his serve, kind of extend rallies, right? Not kind of
Well, except Kim, I mean, we'll
huh?
see if Holger does extend the rallies, like that'll be an interesting part of that'll be an interesting part of that match.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it bodes well for him for the clay though. Like I think he needed this where he needed some good tennis to kind of push him into Monte Carlo and
The,
Barcelona.
the one the one thing to note here is that I looked at the tennis abstract surface speed. Dubai played as a medium
Yeah.
this year. It played as like a pure medium, which is usually played in the past. It's played a little quicker.
Uh-huh.
So that's just something to note. Is Dubai played a little slower than it had in the past.
Hmm.
And obviously New Wales always plays slow.
Yeah. But like maybe it hasn't really updated my priors too much on hard slightly. I agree. But on the clay, this run is going to update my priors more.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I look at it. But what about with the racket change? Like that doesn't matter to you?
Um, the racket change itself doesn't matter to me. I mean, it's interesting that he tried something different, right? And it does seem
Yeah.
like he's playing better. But I don't know. I feel like like these racket changes just always kind of annoy me because like, look, like we talked about on the chat, like it's not like these guys can't be playing with like stock rackets. It's not like they go to like they don't like
Right.
go online and like pick a racket. Like they're I'm sure they're like plenty customized. I'm sure they've got weight where they need it. Like it's
Yeah,
not.
that's true.
And
Yeah.
and these guys string at such like crazy tensions. These guys have like excellent strings too. Like honestly, like if somebody made like a string change, it probably would mean as much to me as a racket change. Like guys love to talk about rackets, but I feel like it's a marketing ploy, like to like the
Yeah.
racket companies love to push it, right? Because they can get thousands of kids to buy the new Tsitsipas racket.
It's just funny how everyone on X, oh, he changed his racket. That's why he's playing great. It's like, nah, I don't know. Like, but we're not the biggest equipment guy, right? Like equipment guys, like we play with whatever is given to us.
I mean, A,
Much.
that's true for us as players, but B, like, look, like you and I both know, like, there's things you can do. Like, you can put weight in your handle. You can put lead tape on the sides of the racket. You can change your strings. Like, there's a lot of things you can do besides changing the frame to
Hmm.
like make equipment changes, right? So like that's
True.
why I always feel like it's a corporate scam, is because like it's like that's the one that costs the most money, right? Like whereas like strings are like I mean, yeah, you
Yeah.
can go get like natural gut and it costs a lot more, but like, most of
For
the
these
strings are,
guys, it doesn't matter. They can put whatever
yeah,
they want. They could put gold natural guts. Fine. They're making enough.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next guy I want to talk about is one guy I was really excited to talk to you about, Casper Ruud.
Well, I don't have a whole lot. You're definitely the person who's like the hot takes on this podcast.
Yep.
But I've moved to have Casper in like my most hated players list. I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm starting to I was reading articles about him like taking his golf clubs to the United States and being like excited to golf down in New Wells. And like
Yeah.
we already know he punts the grassies in a way which is honestly pretty disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
And like, is he now punting hard away also, and he's just a one surface guy?
It
I mean,
almost
it
feels
really
like
feels
that.
that way, Like,
Yeah, it
and he
does.
played horrible against Giron, horrible, 60 errors,
Horrible. It was terrible.
and getting beat. What was he was gonna get bageled, and then Giron actually gave him a break back, serving for the
Yeah.
match.
It felt like he just tanked the third set. Like he had no intention of running after balls. Like it was just atrocious.
Yeah,
I like it was like Bublik-esque.
it was atrocious. It was. I turned it off halfway through because I was like, "This is." A, I was unhappy I was losing my bet, but B, I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have very little appetite to why. I'm just like, and I think it's most frustrating because we were texting. I put together like my most hated players list, and like I didn't have Bublik or Mutet on it because like you know what you're getting with them. Like if you turn into a Bublik match, you
Right.
know what you're getting.
Right.
Like he's an admitted clown. Whereas like Casper Ruud acts like he's the nicest, most hardworking guy in the world.
Yeah.
Admittedly tanks the grass season. Like admittedly just tanks it.
Yep.
He's
Yep.
got stuff on Instagram. He showing up to Wimbledon like 2 days before. Like admittedly
Yep.
just tanks the grass. And now it feels like he's tanking half the hardcourt events also.
That's what it feels like. I mean, I feel like he's more prioritized with UTS, and he's
Yeah,
like,
he's all in the
yeah,
UTS
he's
and,
at
and
like
the
every UTS dinner, like every
and
UTS
they make him sound like the
dinners, which are
serious
really
guy. Like they put
entertaining.
him with Bublik, and he's like, "Oh, we've got the serious guy, Casper Ruud." And I just feel like he's, I
Yeah,
don't know, like it feels
serious
like
guy
he's
on the
like,
surface, but inside he's like a clown.
right, right,
Totally agree. Yeah, it's just it's kind of like Zverev, right? Like, don't appear to be Mr. Nice Guy and then be a complete dick. You know, like
yeah. Casper, I don't know if he's like it's like I think Zverev seems like a complete dick. I don't know if Casper's like a dick to other people.
no.
I don't know, man. I just want guys to come out and play every match and try to do well every tournament.
Yeah, I
Or do
mean,
their best every. I'm not expecting them to do their best every tournament. Like it's a hard tour. There's a lot of tournaments. I understand that guys are going to train and guys are going to peak and valley. Like I understand that, but like come out and try for every tournament during the matches, and
yeah.
like really give it a go at least like 2/3 to 3/4 of the year. And I just don't. I don't know. I feel like
I feel like no one calls him out for what he does with the grass season, and like he deserves that because it's a complete bush league move what he does. Like as you say, he goes to concerts and playing golf. Like he actually said grass is for golf, not tennis.
right.
Like that's basically urinating on the Wimbledon lawns. Like that's basically what that is as a top 10 player. Like it's terrible. Like but no one will call him out for it because he's
Yeah.
such a nice guy. He's Nadal's friend. He trained at Nadal's academy.
Yeah.
Like it's so
Yeah,
dumb.
I don't like he's probably is he very well may be a genuinely nice guy. Like he probably is.
Yeah.
I just feel like the way I don't know. I want to see him like take the hardcore like take the whole season seriously. That's all. Like
I agree. I agree. I mean, these courts should theoretically be really good for him, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, people might say, the food poisoning that he got in Acapulco like made him tire out and like this and that, but he didn't look fatigued. He just looked like disinterested in that third set against Giron.
yeah, yeah,
I'm not really going to give him the fatigue pass because didn't he come back and win the second set?
yeah.
So like 5 minutes earlier, you were running around and you won the second set, and then like I don't know what happened. It was terrible. It was terrible. But yeah, I'm in complete agreement with Rude. I mean, you know me. Usually when you have a negative take, I'm in agreement.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I guess to go the other way, he did make the finals of Dallas. I did look. He did beat he beat Jaume Munar in a third set, and he beat Mo, and he beat Duckworth in Dallas. So we'll give him some credit for that.
bravo, bravo, well done. So one guy, okay, that's one clown show, but like one guy I actually want to give credit to is Talon Griekspoor because this guy's been cashing plus 275 tickets left and right for me. I mean, it's been pretty nice. I mean, I had the balls to play it against Medvedev and play it against Zverev, but I feel like he's had such a track record of making these matches versus top guys tough. Whereas, like, if you're getting plus 275, it's worth a shot because I'm not saying it's 50-50, but I'm saying like he definitely has more than a 30% chance of winning. If you're putting yourself in that position consistently or even getting to first set tie breaks, like I'll take that if I have a plus 275 ticket in my back pocket. Right?
Yeah, I mean for sure. Yeah, I mean if you're getting to tie breaks with a plus 275, that's fantastic.
And the amount of matches he's been winning coming back from a set down has been quite impressive. I feel like he's taken the Hubie role this year in playing these overs because he's gone over a lot. He's been also Mr. Over. Didn't
Yeah,
go
I
over
mean,
against
he really
Farah.
no, and you're absolutely right. Like he's he's got such an attacking game,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I feel like that like and you know, he mentioned I think it was his I don't know if it was his press conference or there was something after either the Zverev or the Medvedev match, but he was saying like he's got a him and his coach have discussed this attitude of like I'm gonna go for it, and even if I miss, that's okay. It was similar to what Watanuki said in his press conference after the Tiafoe match, where it was like, you know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna, or it might have been the on-court interview, I can't remember which, but it was basically like, you know, like if I miss, like that's okay, but I'm gonna go for my shot.
And that makes the Watanuki Griekspoor match very intriguing, honestly. If both guys have that exact same mindset, like it comes out who's going to miss more, almost, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
But
it's but I mean he's a pretty respectable player, Griekspoor. Like he's a you know he's limited. Like he's not the best
yeah,
mover. He's the backhand's a little ugh, but like you know,
but
uh,
I remember I think we backed him. What was it in Doha?
Puna.
Uh,
We backed him in Puna, or we
yeah, we
talking more
backed him in
recently.
Doha against Berrettini. Remember?
Yes, we did. Yep,
Right?
yep.
And we were like I hate having a Greek sport ticket, but like the value was there because he was like plus 160 or plus 170.
Yeah,
We had to, right? It was 7-6, 6-7, 6-4 for Berrettini. So okay, right? But like we just at that point we were thinking, oh, he just doesn't have the goods to get over the hump, right? Like we've seen it so many times where he gets close but doesn't get over the hump. So like having a money line ticket is just like, oh shit. But he's proven us wrong in Dubai and Indian Wells because
he's been close so many times that I'm happy for him to see him getting over the hump.
me too. Me too.
And I did like the press conference piece of him talking about that attitude. Like I said, I can't remember the exact words, but it was basically along the lines of like I'm going to be aggressive. And I think it might have been like when he lost. Like they were asking like when he lost because I think he had match points against Zverev, didn't he? Before he
Oh,
closed him out.
so many. I think he had like
Yeah,
4 or 5 in that 6-5, 5-6 game or something.
yeah, but his coaches were saying like, all right, you went for it, like you put it in the net, fine, like but you went for it, like no, you don't mean like keep going, keep going,
That
like
in that moment he didn't really go for it. He kind of went the other way. He was so tight, like it was
yeah.
insane.
Well,
But
and that's been the problem, right? That's been the problem is he can't play passive. He has to go for it.
he does, he does. But it's just like the amount of times he's come back from a set down. He lost the first to Safiul and he came back and won 6-6 in the second and third. He lost the first to one Bear and then won the second and third. He lost the first to Medvedev 6-2 and then won the second and third 6-5. He did it again versus Kecmanovic, and then he did it again versus Zverev. So that's what 5 out of 6
But I
matches
don't
where
I
he's
don't
pulled
think
off
the
an
issue with Greek sports
LWW.
ever been battling. Like it's impressive, but I don't think the issue with Greek sports ever been battling. I think it's more just like the big points. If you want to talk about
Okay.
mental game
No,
challenges,
I'm
right? Like
just
it's a,
to do that 5 out of 6 matches though is really impressive.
he
Like
deserves some flowers.
if
You
that
can give
was
him his
If that was
flowers.
Casper Ruud, forget it.
No, I think he deserves some flowers for it. I completely agree, and it's you know, like I said, I'm happy to see him succeeding. Yeah, but I don't know that it's I don't know that my priors are that much updated from like a betting perspective. I feel like this is a little bit of like a positive variance in this run. Like he's winning a lot of tie breaks. I mean, he's so
Yeah, fair.
in the past, you know, 2 weeks that we're talking about, he's won 6 of his last 7 tie breaks.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, like that's not gonna, you know, obviously that's not gonna sustain. So
Well, he's also played a ton of time breaks. Like it's crazy.
yeah, but that's always Griekspoor, right? That's always been like
Yeah.
he doesn't get enough breaks. So that's that's not
It's
surprising. He's playing a lot of 7-5s and 7-6 sets.
yeah,
It's
he's
just,
not returning much better. He's just being a little bit more gritty and decisive in key moments. Like that's it, right? That's the difference. But
or it's working, right? Like,
it's
right? Like, I mean, it's a lot of times like you're the same shot, right? If you make it, it's like, oh, that was gritty,
I
that was
know.
ballsy. And if you miss it, it's like, oh, that was stupid. So like it's
Yeah, but he's taken the Hubie role because he's going over a lot.
and it kind of makes sense, right? Like
Yeah.
like with his game style, right? Like, and he's like I've always respected him. I think he's always battled well. It's just been the big points.
Yeah.
Like, did he take a set off of what tournament did he play center tight in last year?
Oh, multiple times. He played in Titan Halle, Titan Miami.
Yeah. I was thinking Miami when he took a set and had 5
He
all
took
in
the
the
set off
second.
him in Halle as well.
Yeah, he played in Tough and Holly. Yeah.
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 So yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm
he's not
impressed with
afraid. He
Griekspoor.
battles. There's a lot to love about him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, is there a guy you wanted to talk about next?
Fokina?
Yeah, he was next on my list. His
Yeah,
inability to
man.
win a title. I hope he gets over the hump. Like, for me, this is kind of it's a good segue from Griekspoor because like we've always kind of hoped that Griekspoor would get over the hump once, right? And like I feel like I hope Fokina does.
Well, look, Griekspoor had gotten over the hump, right? He's won tournaments. I think he's won at least a couple. I think he's won at least one, if not more. I think he won. Didn't he win Pune a couple years back?
Yeah, Pune. That's right. He beat Bonsai in the final. That was when we cashed on a 24-1 book error. Remember
Yeah.
that?
No, but he won Den Bosch that same year. I'm just looking
Oh
back
yeah,
at it
that's
now.
right. That's
He
right.
won Den Bosch that same year. So he's gotten over the hump a couple times.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I mean, I like Foki's my new guy. I just feel like he's so good. Or not so good. He's a guy who there's a couple of, so first he gets made fun of for all the chokes, but he's actually a pretty good battler.
Yeah.
And he clearly cares. And like, like it's so I feel bad that like these, that that he's, and I mean the other thing is like, so like this year he's been so much better, but if you actually look, I'm gonna pull it up, but his stats aren't actually any better, with the exception of his tiebreak record. Which kind of makes sense, right? We talked about how dastardly, like his tiebreak record was like 3-14 or something last year, and we talked about that.
Right.
Like, I don't think he won a single tiebreak last year against a top 100 player. It was something insane.
Insane. So like now that he's like what 500 in tie breaks or something, or like
He's a little bit above actually so far, but yeah, now that he's playing tie breaks at like a good rate, like all of a sudden now we're like, oh, Fokina's back, and it's like, he's like, the point was he was somewhere in between all along, right? Like he's a really good player.
Yeah, but the thing is when you go
still mental tactics are a problem, it's aside of the key points, and then
but when
obviously
you go 3-14 in tie breaks are like key points, which are, like intensified, right? So like also from the viewer, so you look like such a choker when you lose every single tie break, right? Just to the general public. But what, like maybe 5% of the points are in tie breaks that you play?
Well, that, yes. And then the other piece of that is that, like, for the vast majority of players, if you look at their tie break, like over your career, you're probably going to go close to 500 in tie breaks.
Yeah.
Like there's not a whole lot. I mean, I can't remember like is Federer, like what's Federer, like 60% or something? Novak's like 60% or something. Like
those guys are the great best of all time.
Right. And they're winning like 6 out of 10. So like it's not, like you're not like, it's really hard to lose 15 tie breaks in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Fokina, he had set point in the first set against Mahak, right? And then he had 5-2 against Kecmanovic in Delray.
Well, he had 2-5, 15-40 against Kecmanovic, and he missed a ball by that far to win the match, right? On a really tough forehand. it was close enough. It was electronic. They have like electronic, the
Yeah.
electronic line calling now, but it was close enough. They showed like it has like a close call on the big screen and everything. And then after that, and then then he kind of just fell apart. He like started making errors, yelling at the box. He but it wasn't like he didn't care. He just like got frustrated too easily.
Yeah. I mean, we
Um,
talked about mental toughness being like twofold, where one part of it is being a battler and the other part is kind of rising to the occasion. And like I feel like Fokina has a ton of one, but just absolutely none of the other. And
yeah, yeah.
it's a
And we've
shame.
seen him break back and get in position to break a lot of times after I
Yeah.
think even when he went down, did he go down six? Yeah, he went down 6-5 against Kecmanovic and got like a love 30.
Yeah.
It's like it's.
I
I
know.
think Kecmanovic gave him a couple of but he still made a few balls. It's like he yeah, it's frustrating to watch as a Fokina fan. The other piece is like his tactics still aren't
No.
where they need to be yet either. Like it's not,
I
so
mean, I also thought
that's
he battled really hard against Shapovalov at in Acapulco. That
I
was a
agree with that as
very
well. Yeah.
entertaining
Yeah.
match where both guys don't have good tactics, so like the battling aspect kind of shines through, and he battled harder than Chapo, and that's why he got through that match. You know?
When he won 2 tie breaks, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Which
but
again, like
okay. But I thought like throughout, like the momentum was kind of going in his favor because he was kind of digging deeper, even though like Chapo may have been playing a little better. That's
okay,
kind
I
of
think it's
how
a
I
fair
felt.
take. I think it's
Yeah.
I just think like a lot of these, again, I'll talk. I mean, if when it comes to these tie breaks, if you win the tie breaks, you get a lot more love than if you don't. But like, I think the best example actually of Fokina's toughness was when beating TFO. When he beat I think it was Acapulco, right? It was Acapulco. He beat TFO and he lost match points in that.
Yeah, in the second set,
In the
right?
second set, he lost the match. I think at least one, if not more, match points that he blew. And then he came back and played a good third set.
Yeah,
Which a lot of guys get frustrated and it falls apart.
it's true. It's true. Well, it did fall apart for him against Mahawk in the final.
But honestly, like the first set of that match even was bad. Like the returning, like they
Yeah,
both guys had a weirdly hard time returning in that match.
it was a weird match. It was
It's
a
a very
weird.
weird match.
So, if you have to place odds on Foki to win a title in the rest of 2025 at minus at pick 'em.
Oh, I would say no for sure. I mean, just based on the fact that like he's no, I mean like
So,
he's
what
still
odds would you need to hit yes on Foki to win the title in 2025?
one title. I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe like plus 150 or something. Like,
50?
because the question is like how many 250s and 500s is he gonna play, right? Because that's what I'm really looking at. Like, I don't think he's much of a chance to win a Masters title. But the question is like how many 250s and 500s will he be in that have weak draws, have no more than a couple top 20 guys, right? Where he's like a
Marrakesh.
right. I mean, right? Like there are like a tournament like that, he'd be like, somewhat live to win the title, right? If he's one of the top 4 or 5 guys in the event, like because if you look at when you look at like the odds, right? Just the general like futures odds to win a title, like
Yeah.
usually like the 5th or 6th best guy in the tournament is like 10-1, something like that, right? So like that's kind of how I'm thinking of it. Is like, okay, so how many tournaments is he going to be at like a reasonable price where he's got like
Yeah, but
a
like
five.
if he plays Hamburg, right, the week before the French, right, where like his motivation might be higher than like someone else who's, just going for the appearance fee. Like I feel like there's spots in the calendar where if his goal really is just to win a title this year, which it honestly should be, like I feel like his goal should be let me get over the hump. Like it doesn't really matter how I do in slams or anything like that at this point. Like I just want to win a title, you
Well,
know?
I mean, honestly, that's the game. That's the case. We talked like as fans, we're so conditioned to talk about the top of the tour
Right.
that like we think like the general populace, right, thinks of like 5 guys. Like if you talk to like your random friend who's a tennis fan, they're gonna know maybe 10 guys.
Maybe.
They'll know the top 4 to 5. They'll know a couple of Americans because the Americans always get hyped. They'll know, like, and they'll know like maybe like a Holger Rune, right? But and probably like a Kyrgios. But like they're not gonna know more than like 10, more than like 10 to 15 guys top. So like, and Fokina's not, the point is like Fokina's not in the set of guys that they'll know, right? So like for these guys, for like anybody who's like outside the top like 10 to 20, like winning a title is a massive deal.
Mm-hmm.
Even for like a Makach, right? Like that's a massive deal to win a 500. Massive.
Massive. Even for like Demon or to make a final of Toronto a couple years ago, right? Or
Massive career
in to win
moment. Yeah.
that Masters 1000, like huge, huge. I mean that Masters 1000 in Toronto for Popperin is probably it's going to be his shining light of his career for sure.
And that's amazing. Like
Yeah.
again, like we like we're so tennis centric that we like you don't realize like how amazing, like how few guys win Masters.
Yeah, it's true.
Like what, like Ferrer, like David Ferrer was a top 5-10 player for like his whole career and won 1 Masters.
Right.
Right. Kachanov's at 1 he only has the Paris, right? Kachanov's been in the top 10-20 forever and he's got 1 Masters. Like,
yep, Fritz, same thing.
yeah, Fritz has 1 Masters and he's been in the top 5-10 for years. So like it's really freaking hard to win a title.
Yeah, it's true.
And like there's just not, again, the tennis populace is so focused on the top couple guys and the slams that it's like, oh, like the little tournaments don't matter and it's only the slams. That might be true for Novak Djokovic at this point. And maybe Sinner and probably Zverev and maybe Alcaraz. And that's not to say those guys aren't trying in other events. I'm saying like, but like for those guys in terms of like their legacies, right? Like
right.
That's what matters for those top couple guys.
Yeah.
But everybody else on the tour, like these other events are massive.
Yeah, and getting points and getting direct entry into these tournaments
And getting and having a higher ranking, right? Just the honor of saying I'm a top 20 player, the honor of saying I'm a top 10 player, qualifying for Turin. Like massive, massive honors.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, well, I'm rooting for Fokina to win a title. I mean, I thought the Acapulco one was not great since he had a set point in the first set, but the Delray Beach one, that's tough.
That was brutal. That was brutal. That was a choke. That was a complete mental choke. And you could see it on his face. You could see it in the way he was yelling at his box. He just like completely almost like panicked.
It was brutal.
He didn't stop battling, but I also think I think that like if he had better tactics, it would help him too. Because in the key moments, it would be like, okay, I'm going to go to like some level of base tactics.
And Kecmanovic is not the toughest guy to have good tactics against, right? Because he's very limited and he only has that one way of playing, which is that very aggressive style.
Yeah.
So, like, he should have got over the hump there. That was tough. Next guy I want to talk about is Tomas Mahak. So he's retired, 6 times in the last like 7 months?
Just
insane. I mean, I love his game, but he's a really tough guy for me to root for now. Like, I just feel like he's kind of a clown. He's really hard to categorize.
So there were times been kind of varied, right? Like, was it the United Cup or was it like what was it? What was the one that he had a really like he took a set off of Fritz or serve for the set and then like after the end of the first set he was like, I'm just done.
Yeah, he just had a meltdown.
That was a weird one. But he's had at least 1 or 2 that were illness. So like I guess the question is like if you're not feeling well, why take the court for 3 games? I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of similar with Mickelson against Medvedev. Like he took the court for games and then just like walk off the court. Like why not just like not play at all?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, but yeah, I don't know. Obviously incredibly talented and like a great athlete.
Yeah, another guy who's very watchable.
Yeah, he is. He's very watchable. I mean, if you have to list the 5 most watchable guys like outside of the top 10 right now, like who would you say? It's like probably Mahak, Musetti.
Musetti's tough because like it depends how well he's playing,
Yeah. I mean, I thought that Fees Musetti match yesterday was one of the most watchable matches of the year. Like that was just awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean, what's really cool about the sport, man, is we do have actually a lot of very watchable players. Because I'm going down the list, like I think like Dimitrov's is 15th. He's very watchable.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy's 11th, so technically not top 10. I think very watchable. Musetti. I think Humbert is fun to watch on the right surface for him.
I mean, you commented yesterday how much more professional he's gotten, which is 100% accurate.
Yeah. Makach, Fee's super watchable.
Humbert is a little stiff.
Well, super watchable. Shapo's I mean, we need to talk some Shapo because he's doing a lot better. So much more discipline the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I think honestly, like as a sport, like we've got a lot of watchable guys. Like people, I don't know, you hear people complain about the tour not being in a good place, but I don't know. I feel like we're
I mean, I
little
think
spoiled by the
we enjoy it so
2000s.
much also because we grew up with it and we're also betting it every day. So like that increases the watching intensity tremendously.
I think, but I think it's also like I think we were really spoiled in the mid to late 2000s, because it wasn't just having the big three, right? You had 3 of the best 5 of all time, but then you had Murray, who's got to be top 10 in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Wawrinka, you had Del Potro, who could show up on any given day and obviously did it and won slams. But then you had like a really strong second tier. You had guys like Raonic. Like Raonic was a pretty good player. He wasn't just a serve bot. Like I think he gets underrated in that respect. Who else?
I mean, in his like peak, he wasn't just a serve bot, but he was a serve bot for a big part of his career as well. Because like
I agree with that. Yeah, I was thinking like peak Raonic. You know what I mean? You had like peak Raonic, you had Berdych, you had Ferrer, you had Songa. Like there were a lot of really, really good players that came through in like the 2000s.
Yeah, a lot of those guys were good, better, but they weren't necessarily watchable. Like I feel like Songa was, but not like Berdych wasn't really watchable.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Berdych was really good, but I wouldn't say he was the most watchable guy. I agree.
Yeah, but
I just feel like my point is I feel like we just were really spoiled, and like is the tour down from that era? Yeah, I get. Yeah, sure, but I don't think it's that.
It's only down if you're only marketing 5 guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at the tour as a whole, right? Then no.
Right.
But that's how tennis is, and they only care about 3 guys. Like it's gonna, it's gonna stink because like how do you live up to Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic standards? It's
exactly.
Very, very difficult.
Exactly.
So that's just the public perception, and that's the sport's fault for doing that.
I completely agree. Tennis. I mean, the individual sports, right? Like, ironically, golf has somehow seemed to do a pretty good job of being able to market a lot of guys.
The reason for that is because golf is marketed based on the course, not necessarily the players.
True.
Right? It all depends where they're playing. Whereas with tennis, it's just that everyone is centered in on the player.
Yeah.
And the players are not playing each other in golf; they're playing the course. Let's be real, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where it differs. But
because you're right. I think you make good points. Like combat sports have a lot of the same problem, right? But like combat sports have a really hard time marketing. Now they have weight classes, and having more weight classes, they're able to market a few more guys. But in general, I would argue that has a similar problem to tennis. Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Yeah. And then a couple more guys let's talk about is Zverev. So is this just a post AO hangover? Or do you think it's more this is like a kind of a systemic problem where he's gonna.
No, I think this is probably the most excusable bad stretch like that I could think of.
I don't
Like,
think it's excusable. Like
all
basically
right,
the Golden Slam is just like,
I think
oh, these courts suck, so I'm just like not gonna play. Like try or I mean
yeah,
he's trying,
I
but
didn't love his attitude. He tried, but I didn't love his attitude
yeah.
during the Golden Swing. I think I'm convinced he was sick for the Acapulco. There's rumors he was sick, and the way he played against Lerner was like he did not look, at least in my mind, watching the match. He did not look anywhere near normal Zverev. Like energy wise, he just didn't like so um but yeah, I don't know. I just think like I don't know why he was on the socials like with not his wife, his girlfriend, like out at like the beaches and stuff in Rio. Like, I don't know if that was like a vacation and it was like, all right, I'm
Yeah.
getting paid. I'm going to take a vacation and play a few tennis matches. Like, again, I agree. I said it was excusable. Um, Maybe understandable is more the word in terms of I can understand the reason. It's not. It is pretty I didn't, I would have preferred him to I don't know, show more enthusiasm for the Golden Swing.
I mean, the
But
next slam is the French Open, and like if your goal is really to win a slam, like then dig in. Like I don't.
no, but I guess like if we're gonna talk about that, right? Then like it makes it's even more understandable, right? Because like there's a lot of time to dig in, right? There's what two and a
Okay.
half months, like there's
I just
and
think you're not doing yourself any favors by kind of showing very low intensity and like playing the way he's been playing. Like uh, I don't know, it just feels like he has a lot more holes in his game now than he did, at the end of last year, for example. You know?
I'll disagree. I'll disagree with that. I think like I'm not surprised that he struggled on a bad court. He's somebody we talk about him how much better he is when the ball's in the slot, right? Those South American courts, like they're just not like I like it's fun to watch, but they're like some of the worst courts on the ATP tour.
I agree with that, but I think it's more a product of him just being a spoiled brat instead of like, not being able to hit good tennis balls on a bad court. Like I'm not giving him that pass.
For a top five guy who's done so much work on his game, you'd think he would find a way to be better. I
I
think.
think he just didn't want to be there. And like for me, that's disrespectful. Like it's just not professional. It's not, like it's not good for a guy that's like number two in the world, you know? And like if you want to be known as like have this really great image and win a slam one day, you're not doing yourself any favors, is my point.
Yeah, I don't. In terms of the goal of winning a slam, I don't think it does him a disfavor either. I don't think it. I don't think it like. There's. I mean, it is a weird. Like if I think it's a great part of the calendar.
Yeah, I
February it was
love
a
it.
lot of
I love
fun,
it too. Trust me.
but I think if you're a slam chaser, it's probably the least right. If you're a slam chaser, like this is probably the month you hibernate. Or February is probably the month you hibernate, and then because like really what you like to get into tune for the French, you need the European clay season, right? So you got Rome, Barcelona. I would
Yeah.
say Madrid. Madrid plays a little funny because of the altitude, but like Monte Carlo if he plays it like those tournaments, not like this is a weird part of the calendar.
Okay. But
I'm not saying like I agree with you. I'd rather see him do better, but I think it's understandable. Like I guess I'm not updating my priors. I'm not worried about it. I think he'll bounce back just fine by April.
I mean, I'm updating my priors in Miami. Like he hasn't shown any good level since even the Paul match he should have lost. Like since like
I
sets
doubt I'll be
from there.
taking him to win a quarter. I agree with that in Miami. I doubt I'll be betting him to win a quarter. Obviously, everything depends on price, but I doubt I'll be betting him to win a quarter in
Yeah.
Miami. But like, I'm not that down. I think I could see, I could see the Acapulco. if he really was ill, depending on how ill he was, I could see that being a problem for Indian
I just
Wells.
like the top guys. Like if you're not gonna like give 100% effort in these tournaments, just don't play. Like just leave it for someone else. And
Well,
like
especially because like I guess like it's really funny. We talked about we were texting about it back and forth a little bit. Like I get it, Baez dominates the South American clay, but I was a little I don't know. I kind of like this the Golden Swing is fun to see like these up and comers, and then see like okay we've got these new South American players. Like what can they be? Right? Like when Baez wins these events, I'm like okay I know Baez is nothing.
yeah, we're not even talking about him now because we know who he is, right? Like last year we had a whole segment on him after he won Rio. Like, can you do
And
this
now we just don't care. I know. A year later,
in
we just
Europe,
don't care.
right?
Yeah.
And like now it's like we know that he can't. He lost to Gigante. He went to Indian Wells and played some random like Matteo Gigante and lost. You know,
Who's not even a tour level player. Yeah.
exactly. So it's we know the answer, and it's not if we know the answer, why discuss it?
Right. Whereas like you had Tabilo come up last year, right? And do really well in the Golden Swing. And like, obviously he's really struggling, but he had a solid 6 months.
Yeah, yeah, and he proved that he made the semis in Rome.
And he made what fourth? Did he make fourth round of Wimbledon?
Yeah, lost to was it Pericard maybe? I don't remember, but yeah, he made
But like
fourth.
he had a pretty good run of Wimbledon. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like that's like pretty good. Like that's really good. So like I don't know. I want to see these guys who like, you know, Etch is another guy who came up in the Golden Swing in 2024, right?
yeah, but
Or
he made quarters
2023 or
at Roland Garros in 23, I believe, and lost to
23. Yeah. So, but he kind of came up in the Golden Swing in 23, and then, all of a sudden, wow, like he was a real player. So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, Baez. No, Tabila lost to Fritz at Wimbledon, third round, but he beat
Third
Evan
round. Okay.
Oboli.
Okay.
So,
Still third round. I
but he
mean,
won Mallorca. Remember?
yep. Yep. We bet that 16-1. So, like, my point is, like, and obviously now he's really struggling, but like, I prefer to see like these, I don't know, like I like to see up and comers who like, maybe can do something. Whereas like Baez, like we know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, credit to him. I mean,
He's a coach's dream. Like it's not his fault, right? Like it's not his
um,
fault he wins these tournaments, but like, yeah.
yeah, I prefer that, and show everything that you got than
And
like,
he does give everything he has to the hardcore tournaments. It's not a matter of
yeah,
giving
it's
everything
not
he's
about
got.
that.
He just doesn't have it.
Yeah, yeah, but I prefer that than like Casper Ruud, like
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
so.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I guess let's talk about Medvedev. So he's a really hard guy to read this year. Like, I don't know if he's back. I don't know if he's not. I don't like know how to bet his matches. And like I guess this can transition into, the round of 16 matches. Um I don't know. He brushed aside Boo. You were on the right side. Did you stay away there or you actually bet Medvedev?
Oh no, I was on Medvedev against Boo. No, I did not. I
I think
stayed
you
away.
stayed away, right?
Yeah.
Like I was all over Boo. I thought he had the power to hit through the courts. It was a night match. Like I thought Medvedev would struggle first round. Wasn't to be. It was he blew him away 2-2. But
Here's my take on Medvedev.
yeah.
I actually think, he's made the Indian Wells final the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think he's better on slow hard courts.
Really?
He whines, he complains about it to no end. But yeah, like you can't hit through him on a slow hard court. How are you gonna hit through him? And he's not gonna miss.
I mean, so when he was playing Lerner Tien at Wimbledon, that was a night or at the Australian Open, that was a night match, right? Like that court was not that quick. Probably as quicker
He
than
played
this.
like crap. Like to Australia, I don't know what happened in Australia. He also lost 2 sets to some dude who's like that's
Ray, yeah.
Samraj. Like delete Australia. Like that did not happen. Like I don't know who that
Okay,
was. I don't
fair.
know who took over his body. It was like Space Jam. Like it was like the Monstar, whatever. The Monstars invaded Dino Medvedev and like, took his soul away. I don't know. Like that was not Dino Medvedev. Like
He turned into Zelensky.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, whatever you want to say. Like it just was like there was nothing, right? It was just yeah, there was nothing there. It was just no, no. Um, but yeah, he's been like I mean in general, he's been a lot better. So like if you look, right, I'm pulling up the matches, but I don't know if you look since that awful loss to Bellucci and Rotterdam, right? Like killed Herbert, killed Struve, played a terrible match against Hamad, but that was just a bad match. Beat Kachanov, beat a hot Zizou Bergs. Okay, got sick against FAA. Fine, you can delete that. Beat Struve, beat Pericard badly, like absolutely beat the crap out of
Yeah,
Pericard. They was
Pericard,
four
I'm
and four,
throwing it
but
away. He's breaking 2% of the time. Like he's winning
yeah,
2% of return points. Like, okay, throw away Pericard. Like, I mean, these guys are all like borderline serve bots. Like Struff. Okay, Berg.
Zizou Bergs is not a
Okay,
borderline serve bot.
that
Kachanov is not a serve bot. Like I'm
Tachinov
not saying these are
is
top
very
guys on the tour,
limited.
but
These
what?
are not guys that I'm like weighing Medvedev against. Like these are guys that Medvedev should beat in their sleep or in his sleep. You know, like I'm weighing Medvedev against like top 20 guys. You
But
know,
I mean, we just like, but we had just had like in the past since Rotterdam, or we haven't like this year we haven't seen him play a true top 20 guy. He was
that's
sick
why
against
it's really hard for
FAA.
me to read.
What? That's why it's
That's
hard for
why
you to
he's
fair.
really hard for me
Fair.
to read.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
So I don't know. I'm gonna back Paul just because like I don't think Medvedev's form is there. And like last year it was, and they played a really tough match here. I don't know. I mean, it's probably a stay away, but I don't know. I see that loss to Hamad, and it's not like he's losing to him like, 7-6 in the third. It was what 3-2, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I can't really tell is like because he was losing to passive guys, right? Initially, like Lerner TN, and then Marseille comes along, and then he lost to an aggressive guy in Hamad. So he's just like, to me, it feels like how is he feeling on that day? Is he in a mood to play, or he's not in the mood to play?
I don't know. I think he's played pretty well in 9 out of 10 matches since Rotterdam. Hamad, obviously, he didn't play well at all. FA was sick. He lost the match against Griekspoor, but he played fine. He just didn't win the big points. And he basically crushed everybody else.
But I think big points are going to be a problem for him just based on like how passive he's playing and how like kind of
I don't think he's playing nearly as passive as he was. I watched a good amount of the Boo match because I thought it was really cool to watch him because like Boo was, I mean, the thing is like Medvedev's never like hyper aggressive, right? The question is when he has a guy like pulled off the court, does he go for it? Does he move the ball to like corners? Does he out tactic guys, etc.? Like it's not the traditional like aggression from Medvedev. Right? When he was too passive, we talked about this.
yeah.
When he was too passive, it's because he was hitting the ball too much in the middle of the court. I feel like against Boo, he did a better job of like, and Boo helped him out. Boo was insistent on running. I don't understand why these guys in the Indian Wells night matches, and I guess because they don't realize how slow it is, or they instinctually don't have a feel for it. But these guys in these Indian Wells night matches are insistent on running around and hitting forehands. And it's like you can't hurt the guy.
Yeah.
Like you can on this court. So you're
You
just
have to like open up the
space.
court and hit angles. You kind of have to play it like a clay court.
Yeah.
The only way, right?
Yeah.
Going into tomorrow's match with Paul, like I feel like Paul's intelligent enough and like crafty enough and capable enough to make that into a clay court match. You know? As
Yeah, I think it's a really, really
guy.
fascinating match. I think it's a really fascinating match because, like, I can see both sides. But I was gonna back Medvedev. You're kind of turning me off and turning it into a stay away for me.
Mhm.
Um, Medvedev's it's a minus 130 plus 110 is the line. It's
Ooh,
the 1 game spread.
I like
Um,
that. I'm gonna take the plus money.
yeah, I think you can make an argument for either side here. I like what I've seen out of Medvedev in this turn. I liked what I saw against Boo. Obviously, Mickelson you can't judge anything on, but I liked what I saw against Boo. Boo been playing well, and Medvedev, just and again, Boo helped him out because he wasn't very good tactically, but and Tommy will have an advantage there. That's why Tommy played him pretty tough last time. Um,
Mhm.
but Medvedev seems to be better. I don't know. It's a tough match to
I
call.
feel like Medvedev is having trouble moving forward. I mean, he always has, but like I feel like he's getting caught too far behind the baseline, and when someone draws him in, he's really having trouble reacting to that more so than in previous years.
I agree. I agree.
I don't know. I feel like people are hurting him with the drop shot way more than they were in the past.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, you're kind of pushing me. I might take Tommy. You're pushing me towards it. I might take
It's
Tommy.
plus money. I mean, plus 120 and I'd be like all over it. Plus 110, it's probably a play. Even money is probably a stay away. But
Okay.
I'm leaning Paul for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
hear you.
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, tomorrow's a really interesting card, honestly, with the Rune and Tsitsipas as well.
Yeah.
So I guess we can move on to that match. So I think Tsitsipas is a 2-game favorite.
Yeah, I'm pissed about this because he was a plus. So I'll just give away the lead. It's actually down to 1.5 now on
Wow.
Bovada.
Okay, I
Um,
thought it was going to move the other way, so I didn't get any CLV here, which sucks.
I'm a
So
little pissy. I'm on I was staring at the plus 130. I was thinking it wouldn't move. It did move. So now I'm a little sad. But yeah, I'm on Holger at plus
really? Okay,
125.
I'm all over Tsitsipas at -2. So it's popcorn tennis.
Yeah, I think this is pretty flippy.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
I
makes you
mean,
say that?
I think the slow courts are really good for Holger. Holger's done pretty well on slow courts in his career. He's done well at Acapulco. Um, obviously he's done really well indoors as well, but the conditions aren't a problem here, right? And especially at night, there shouldn't be too much wind. I think
No,
this is the
it's a
night.
day match. Day
It's a
match.
day match.
Yeah.
I think that's not as good for Holger. Um, I don't think it's going to change my mind at a plus 125, but I think it does give Tsitsipas an edge. Trying to look at what time it is. Oh yeah, it's second on. It's right in the middle of the day. Ugh. Um,
So
I
for
would have
me,
preferred this at night.
I think the big advantage that Tsitsipas has is the serve. I think he will be more able to win points on serve than Holger. I don't think I think the slow, high bouncing nature of the court makes his return better here. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Like as you said, I'm kind of surprised that Tsitsipas hasn't had more success here. I also think like Rune is a very capable defender, but he's not disciplined in his defense. And like Tsitsipas, if you're able to get one or two more balls back and be disciplined in your defense, aka like an Alcaraz or a Sinner, you can hurt Tsitsipas with that, right? But like I don't think Rune has the discipline or the fitness to necessarily run 2 or 3 balls down if he's being chased around with Tsitsipas's forehand.
But he can also make shots on defense, right? He can make shots and turn points around pretty quickly. And Tsitsipas he's good at transitioning from defense to offense. He's not as good at transitioning from offense to defense.
That's true. Yeah, I guess Holger could hit big, but like he doesn't really have clear tactics. That's Holger's problem. Like, and I feel like he can't have a sustained level for more than like 15 minutes.
But he's a better player offensively, or not the offensively. I mean, he's a better he's a better athlete. That's what I was going to go with. Like Holger's a better athlete than Tsitsipas. Although Tsitsipas is a better athlete than people give him credit for.
Well, Tsitsipas is, I mean, he's also really good at net.
Yeah.
Like,
But
once
so
he
is
gets net,
Holger.
it's really hard to pass him.
So is Holger, to be honest. Like, I feel like, yeah, I mean, it is an interesting matchup, right? I think this is, I can't have Tsitsipas as a big favorite here, you know, and I consider a game and a half, 2 games big enough.
Okay.
Which is why I like the Holger side, but yeah, Holger's done okay on his, you know, Holger's been fine on clay in his career.
I just feel like Tsitsipas's ability to attack off the serve will be easier than like I feel like Tsitsipas has a clear path to winning points, which is the serve +1. And he can kind of rely on that, whereas I don't really know what Holger can rely on to win points consistently.
Oh, hitting through Tsitsipas and hit like he can hit through Tsitsipas's defense.
Yeah, but is he disciplined enough to do that? Like, I don't think he's disciplined. I know what he needs to do, but I don't think he's disciplined enough to execute that. And I trust Tsitsipas's ability to do that more.
Yeah, it's a really interesting matchup.
I mean, would you make Tsitsipas a favorite?
Maybe, but not much.
Do you think it's pick?
I think I don't think Rune should be a favorite. I'd probably put Tsitsipas at like a -120. You know, so at 125, I don't necessarily like at 125, like it's a play for me. It's not my like I'm only so passionate about it because like I think the rest of the card is way harder. But like it's, you know, like it's yeah, that's kind of my take. Is like it's not like a otherwise it wouldn't be that passionate of a play for me. But I think
if this match was being played in Cincinnati, then I'd agree with you.
Oh, I actually just like I actually think the slow court's better or I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I think it's better for both guys. Like because like Holger's lack of discipline, like his or not lack of discipline, his lack of tactics in some respects, like he can make a lot of shots. He's not going to be rushed, so he can make a lot of shots on this court that he can't on other courts. He can get away with more dumb stuff because like the ball's in his strike zone because he can just smack the ball.
Yeah.
And Holger does love to hit big. Tsitsipas should get the ball. Tsitsipas should give him balls that are up, which again gives Rune the opportunity to hit big, which is what he wants to do.
But then he goes through these random patches where he's extremely passive. Like there's no consistency in his tactics.
Yeah, I mean that's why he's not top 10, right? Like that's why he's not top 10.
And he clearly has the talent to do that.
But it's not like look, it's not like there aren't reasons Tsitsipas isn't top 10 either, right? That's kind of where I'm going with it. It's like I feel like both these guys are like in the 10 to 20 range. I mean, I think it's actually where both the rankings are, but I feel like both of them are like ranked pretty fairly. So yeah.
Yeah, but Tsitsipas's recent, you know, like me updating my priors slightly is kind of swaying me towards Tsitsipas because I haven't updated my priors.
So you think this is? I mean, where would you put Tsitsipas? Would you put him top 10 on this court? Top 20?
In this court, I'd probably put him in the 8 to 10 range.
All right, so I had him more in like the and that's fair. I had him more in like the 12 to 15. So we're not that. I mean, but that's the crazy thing, right? Like that this is what makes the difference in these caps.
Right.
Like,
I mean, that's the difference. Me updating my priors after Dubai on Tsitsipas, but not updating my priors at all on Rune. Because like if this match happened like even 3 weeks ago, I'd probably be on Rune. But also I think the price would be different.
I think so too. Oh, the price would be massively different.
Yeah.
So I still think Rune on this court is well inside the top 20. Like I think he's probably somewhere in the mid-teens, and I've got Tsitsipas. I think these guys are actually pretty much the same tier.
Okay.
Tsitsipas is maybe, like I said, Tsitsipas is maybe a touch higher, but I'm still playing Rune at plus 125. So
Okay. Like, I think Tsitsipas on this court is better than Humbert, and we
yeah,
saw
for
how close
sure,
that
for
match was,
sure, absolutely, for 100% sure. Yeah, no doubt,
right?
no
But
doubt.
like Humbert, I think Rune was what, like plus 120 or 125. He's kind of the same price he is in this match.
This is not nearly as good. Like the Bear match was an amazing play. Like I think that was like a
Yes.
really bad line. This line I think is a play for Rune, but it's not amazing. You know what I mean? I think there's some value, and I don't think it's amazing. Like, you know,
Okay.
like probably my minimum buy point would be like 120.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm not playing Rune at pick. I'm not playing Rune as a at even money. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's yeah.
Fascinating match though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk about fascinating matches. We've got because we talked about two of them. Now we're going to the next one. Watanuki against Griekspoor. Battle of two guys who we did not expect to be here.
Yeah, especially Watanuki. I wonder if he's going to bring out the Pepsi again.
Yeah, for real, right?
11 a.m. um, I don't know. I'm going to lay the 3 with Griekspoor here. I think, like, obviously Griekspoor is not the best at returning, but like, I think Watanuki is just like a way higher level of erratic than Griekspoor is. Like with Griekspoor, you know what you're going to get. With Watanuki, you also know what you're going to get, but you don't because he could just spray errors left and right. And I think the day conditions are gonna hurt him more than they are Griekspoor. I think like Watanuki actually benefited from playing that match with Tiafoe late at night because it's just much slower and he could just like tee off. You know, and also Griekspoor hits way more aggressively than Tiafoe. So I don't think Watanuki's gonna have the time necessarily to like tee off on the ball. Also, Tiafoe, like his backhand penetrates, but his forehand kind of sits up, and that's what Watanuki likes. So, plus, Griekspoor is actually way better at net than Tiafoe. I mean, Tiafoe has decent hands, but he's too clumsy at net, whereas Griekspoor actually puts the volleys away. And I
I
think,
also think Jakee's much smarter net. Like Tiafoe ends
yeah,
up at net in a lot of like
dumb drop
I
volleys.
I, I just like the way Griekspoor plays. He's
Yeah,
just limited, but I like the way he plays a lot more than I like the way Tiafoe plays.
he's kind of the opposite with Rune, where Griekspoor has this like clear-cut game plan that he knows that he has to try to do that
Yeah,
point. Whereas like
yeah.
Rune, I feel like you get something different every like 2 points, and he doesn't even know
Yeah, I
what
mean, I'm playing Rune as a dog tomorrow against Tsitsipas. It's gonna be maddening. It is gonna be a maddening watch. I luckily won't be able to watch it because I'll probably be at work and playing tennis. But
Okay.
if I were gonna watch it, it would be an absolutely maddening watch. But I will be betting it.
All right. Fair. So what's your take on Griekspoor and Watanuki?
Yeah, so the line I was looking at here is set one overs. Over 10.5 is plus 185. That if I'm gonna play it, I haven't decided yet, but if I'm gonna play it, that's the line I'll be playing. It's a day match, so I should play a little bit quicker. I was looking at the weather for Indian Wells tomorrow. Um, Supposed to be. Well, this is a little early, so it's gonna be in the mid. See, it's gonna be cloudy though tomorrow. Cloudy, low 60s. So this is probably a stay away in those conditions. You know, Watanuki's not a complete clown. Like he had
Oh,
like he was playing at a borderline top 100 level before he got hurt last year. He brought in Wayne Ferreira as his coach. As last night he
good.
talked about the post match interview, how that's really helped him to play to play better and to play more aggressively, which is how he has to play aggressively. He doesn't have honestly like a good enough game to play defensively. Um, so if I'm gonna play it, I would play it as a first set over, but it's probably a pass.
Yeah, I just with Watanuki, like he could completely fall off the rails, but then he can also be really good on serve. Like I don't know. I couldn't do it at plus 185 just because of the chance of like just three dumb errors and you're done. Because
Yeah,
he's not breaking Griekspoor.
he'll probably find one during the match, but yeah.
It's unlikely, so
Oh,
but
I don't think it's unlikely he'll find one. I think he'll find one.
I won. Okay. I
Not saying he'll find one in the first set. I'm not saying he's going to break him like, he's going to get break points every game. But, I mean, look, Griekspoor is probably going to have 10, 11 service games at least. Like if he has 10 or 11 service games, I think Watanuki can break him at 10% rate.
okay.
It's not asking for a lot.
Yeah, but he basically has to hit three scorching winners to find that break.
Or Griekspoor can make some errors. Like Griekspoor makes errors too. Like he's not,
Yeah. I mean, with the spread being 3, I would like it even more if Griekspoor serves first, obviously. But I'll have to check with
Well,
Peroni.
honestly, on a 3, it doesn't. It on the 3, the first serve actually matters more if it goes 3 sets. Right? Because if you get one break each set, it's 4-4. If you get one break and a tie break, it could be 3-6 or 4-6. But that doesn't matter on serve order, right? It could be 3-6 or 6-3, right? So but if he serves first, it's nice with the 3 because you get the 6-4, 4-6, 6-3 backdoor push, which is kind of a nice thing to get.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would have this line at more like a 3.5, 4, honestly. So I think that
I don't think that's a ridiculous take.
Yeah.
I mean, look, yeah. I think
I
it's
also
ridiculous.
think when you've had such a big win, there's some regression in store.
I think
One
that's
year
kind of
ago,
baked in though. Like it's not like they're pricing him as Tiafo, right? Like if this were Tiafo against Griekspoor, this would be
probably pick a match,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So, like I
Yeah,
said, I mean, I think the biggest thing is like Watanuki is right now, he's ranked like 300, but he's a much better player than that.
I agree. I agree. I mean, a pretty easy draw relative to what a lot of other low rank guys get at a
Oh,
match.
for sure. For sure. Incredibly lucky. I mean, he got Bublik,
Makach,
a
who
sick
was either
Makac,
sick or
and
didn't want to be
TFO.
here. Yeah.
So he basically got Bublik and TFO. TFO looked like crap in his first match in Zoomer too. Zoomer actually should have beat him. I think he served for both sets.
Yeah.
And he did. Yeah, Zoomer served for both sets against TFO, and yeah. So like, it's not. Yeah, it's just honestly, it's more about just like it's more about the spread than anything else. Like it's just 3 games is not nothing, especially for a guy like Griekspoor is not the best returner.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to back Watanuki either. Like I said, the only thing I'm
Yeah.
really looking at as and I probably won't
Just,
now that it's cloudy. The only thing I was looking at all really was the set one over. I thought it was kind of interesting.
I mean, if you're looking at those kind of lines, it's probably decent to like shorten the finish line. Like I wouldn't want to play a full match over here, for example.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Hunter. Yeah, I don't want. No, I
So,
agree.
yeah. Fascinating match though.
Interesting match. Yeah, and then the last match we haven't talked about yet. Um, and
Feast and
this is going the
Giron.
wrong way. Uh, Fees against Giron. Fees is now up to a 2.5 game favorite.
All right, I got him at 2 at minus 115.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
it's now up to 2.5 minus 110. I don't know, man. I'm that to me is probably pretty fair.
really?
Yeah, I mean, where do you put fees on this? I guess it really. Let's talk because I have a pretty strong opinion on where I put your own. I would not put your own in the top 50. I'm not bought in on your own, right? So this is more about where do I put fees and is where do I put your own.
I mean, with Feast, he has such a high ceiling and such a low floor too. So like, I feel like his floor is slightly below Giron's base level, right? But his
Oh,
ceiling,
his floor is way, 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 way below that. I mean, the floor for
yeah,
fees is nothing. Like he got beat 3-2 by Altmaier in the past 6 months, right? Like, I
yeah,
mean,
he got beat like 1 and 2 by Borges.
Yeah, like
Oh,
the floor is nothing. I mean, I called him truant, right? That was my word for feces. He's truant. He skipped school some days, like, so yeah, I mean, like,
yeah, he
yeah.
definitely went to school against Musetti. He definitely didn't skip that day.
Right, right. But that's the problem on the flip side, right? Like, legitimately, like, when he's playing, I think he might have the biggest forehand on tour. I was reading, like, of anybody,
I
like
mean,
even
it's
bigger
massive.
than like Sinner. He's got a massive forehand.
Yeah, but he doesn't follow it in well. Like he hits like a big shot, but he doesn't really like do anything well with the next ball, right? It's just like
Yeah.
hitting big, hitting big again, and then hitting big again. And he's like not good at finishing points at net. But then again, I think these courts are way better for Feast than Giron because like
Oh,
that's
100%,
the
a
grittiness of the
hundred
court.
percent,
And then like the ball bouncing up high on Giron's backhand is going to be very problematic because
a
like
hundred
his backhand,
percent,
like he lets go of the racket and it's just like a very like kind of flimsy shot.
a hundred
You
percent,
know?
Manny, 100%. Yeah, I
Stylistically, I think this is fantastic. And this is being played at like I think third on Stadium One. That's going to be a very like high bouncing, high, like it's you said it's cloudy. That's probably not
yeah.
as good, but it's fine. It's okay. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I
Um,
got to think more about this one in terms of how do I feel about the matchup of Feast versus Euron, because I think that's the key here. I think this line is pretty well set in terms of just like who's a better player. Even I think I think this line is somewhat accounting for the conditions, because I think on like a more neutral hardcore, I don't think there's that big of a gap between these two guys. But on a slow hard court, a bouncing hard court, yeah, this is definitely not a good place for your own. It definitely is a good place for Feast.
I
Um,
I also think like we've seen Fees kind of go on these random runs to win these tournaments. Like I'm not saying it's going to happen here by any means, but like I feel like he needs one of these kind of adversity type of wins to build the confidence. Um, because like in Tokyo, he did it what 5 straight times where he came back from a set down and like I feel like that's kind of what gets his motor going, you know? He's a confidence-based
and
guy, right? Like he just hits big. So if he's feeling it, he's really dangerous. If he's not, then he's not. So like
yeah, these are
I
all
feel
good
like
points. I got to think through this match quite a bit. Points.
yeah. I mean, have these guys played in the past?
I don't think so, but I can't remember.
Yeah, first meeting.
Yeah, tough card though. But that's how you know we're getting to the business end of a big event. Because I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know. I feel like everybody says it, but I feel like it is true. Like the bets dry up.
A little bit. A little bit. There's some good value on the Challenger 175s I was looking through.
Yeah, man. The Phoenix always gets a good draw.
I mean, look at Rinky. Rinky is a plus 150 favorite against Holt. Or
Minus
plus one
150
no, no, plus 150 dog.
against Holt.
Brandon Holt, yeah.
That seems like a pretty good price. Phoenix plays medium-ish, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, medium. I think it's played pretty similar to Indian Wells, maybe a little bit quicker. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely some decent stuff. I mean MP9 and Dave, I would recommend subscribing to their podcast because they did some excellent work on the challengers. I think it's like $5 a month, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because John knows a lot about the lower rank guys. As he does like tape study and stuff like that. So definitely recommend that to our viewers. Um, But yeah, like Colton Smith against Shevchenko, like that seems like a decent look.
What is Colton Smith?
He's a sizable favorite. He's like minus 220, but like
Wait, Colton
Shevchenko
Smith is minus 220?
against Shevchenko. I mean, Shevchenko's awful.
I know, but that feels really, really aggressive for a guy who's a challenger level player in Colton Smith. Like that feels like a big price to me.
Okay. I mean, Roman Safulin is only a 2.5 game favorite against Eubanks.
That feels more real. I mean, Eubanks still has the big serve, right? Like 2.5 games against Eubanks is a lot. If Saflin gets broken once, if Saflin plays one bad service game, that gets hard to cover.
I agree. Yeah, Rinky is plus 145 against Holt.
Yeah, that and the Shevchenko line. As much as I hate Shevchenko, and I get it. Like Shevchenko's played like it's not been good recently. He got crushed by Rinky, but
Rinderknech Opelka seems like an overmatch. If you can get like a 20, even a 23.5, like that might be a decent look.
what is the over under there?
23.5
That seems playable.
seem playable.
The over there, like
Yeah.
you get a 25 there, and you're good to go. Obviously, you get all the 3 sets. You'd think there'd be a tiebreak in that. Like,
I mean,
Rinderknech
set
plays
one
pretty aggressive
ladders
too.
probably is a good look there too.
What?
Set one ladders.
Yeah, 7 ladders probably a good play there. Yeah, yeah.
Fonseca is a 4.5 game favorite against Kotov.
That's in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not tomorrow. That's got to be a couple days down the road, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Tomorrow they're finishing qualifying and I think starting the first round. But like Kotov has been really bad. I don't know. That seemed like an undermatch.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. But then Fonseca can spray too, so you gotta be wary of that. I don't know. There's some things to think about there. Nardi and Nishikori. Nardi's a plus 145 dog. Seems about right, to be honest. But I think
yeah.
Nishikori's overvalued. I don't think he's
Think so too. I think there might be value on Nardi there. To be honest, I'd have Nishikori as a favorite, but there might be value on Nardi there.
yeah. And then as far as the other one, there's one in the Dominican Republic that's also a 175. There were some interesting matches there too. Altmaier against Lajovic.
Altmaier's okay,
Altmaier is a minus 130 favorite.
okay.
Seems decent. And like hot and
Yeah,
humid conditions.
yeah.
You got Kovacevic against Bellucci. It's basically a pure pick'em. It's an
Seems
interesting.
right. Seems
I would
right.
like
It's
to
never
see.
seen that though. It seems right.
I would like to see Kova's stats against lefties.
Oh yeah,
How they
because
look there.
you're not a huge fan of the backhand.
Yeah,
Neither am I. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I'm looking at that. Cam Nori against Lestien. I mean, I love playing unders with Lestien. Honestly,
The only problem is he can steal the first set and then like tank a set. Like the concern there is the 3 sets, right? Like
I mean, then lay the games with Nori. He's a 4 game favorite. That actually seems
yeah,
pretty good. Schumer against Tristan Boyer. I actually like Schumer there at minus 115. Pure pick. I kind of like what Schumer has done recently. Like he
I
was
like
good.
what Schumer's done. That's not an anti-Schumer take. It's I feel like pure pick's pretty right there.
Really. I feel like he's more solid than Boyer. Boyer is more aggressive.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the guy that makes less errors in that match.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And like I feel like I mean they're probably both okay to handle tough hot and humid conditions, but
Well,
Mensick,
Phoenix isn't humid, is it? Oh, that's the Dominican
it's a
Republic, you said.
Dominican Republic, yeah. Mensick against Garin.
In the Challenger?
Yeah.
NC's playing a Challenger? Wow.
I mean, Mensik in hot and humid conditions in the Dominican Republic. I mean, that he's gonna die
Yeah,
after.
but Green's no spring chicken either with that. Like that just seems like a mess.
Garin is gonna try to body slam Mensik on the way.
There could be, I mean, there could be a lot of like that's kind of a match I want to watch because there could be a lot of interesting things that happen, to be honest.
Yeah. School Kate against Fonini. School
Really? This is when it's time to end the pod.
Good point. But look at School Kate in the and the amount of overs he's played. He's played
Okay.
over 2.5 sets, I think, in like his last 8 matches or something like
Okay.
that. Crazy. Yeah.
He
So
took a set off center, right?
yep, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's played 3 sets in like I think his last like 10 matches. It's literally insane. It's literally crazy. But yeah, so Challenger circuit is kind of the second week of the Masters. It's kind of good that we have like some extra action that we can like go to.
Yeah, I mean it's always interesting to watch. I think those are
Yeah.
pretty. They're
decent fields.
they're not even that weak at they're not that much weaker than some of the 250s, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially the Phoenix ones. It seems like everybody who ends up like bowing out early in who bows out early of Indian Wells goes to that Phoenix Challenger. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, Monfils and Dimitrov are in the 3rd set right now. So neither guy has called a trainer so far. That's breaking news.
that is breaking news.
Yeah. That's the one bet I was looking for here. Like I didn't want to play a side. I wanted to see like if they had -110 on the trainer to be called, that's the bet I would have played.
There you go. There you go.
All right, everyone. It's great potting again.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks everyone for the support. Really appreciate it. Really, really having a fun time in the community. If anyone has any ideas, thoughts, things they want to hear about, things they don't, feel free to reach out and ask questions.
Sounds good. All right. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye.